Things now. That's good. Now live on YouTube, live on Rumble. Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to Weird Weekly Recap. As soon as why can't I bigger this? What the heck? Why won't it let me? Come on, let me bigger the chat. There we go. That's how you bigger the chat. Okay. Yeah, this is a Weird Weekly Recap. This shows a dive into the odd, obscure, bizarre, in other words, for a strange world of notable events, weather, and sports. I am Xander. I am joined by...
Golden Loon.
Yep, and you, of course, here are you. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us. What do we have here today?
Just before we get started, I was just thinking in the intro, you're talking about the Weird Daily. We've all heard of Weird Al. Maybe we ought to just call it Weird Alex.
Well,
Weekly Recap.
Well, we'll see.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to get into any legal trouble with anybody, especially somebody with the name Weird, you know. So, but anyway, yeah, let's get into this, shall we? Starting us off in Oddity Central, 63-year-old woman thought she was in online relationship with Enrique Iglesias. Okay, well, you know, there's now. Something I've been meaning to talk with you about is your generation is massively falling for, like, online lunacy. Like, a lot of boomers are falling for AI-generated photos, deepfake technologies, scams of this sort. I actually have a friend whose mom is in an insane asylum now, because she is now clinically, like, you know, prescribed as insane or whatever, like what's not prescribed, but like diagnosed as crazy because she got wrapped up in one of these scams and she thought she was in an actual relationship with, I don't remember, like George Clooney or something, I don't know, some big name actor.
Okay.
And she is just determined that it is him and has given him tens of thousands of dollars. And all of my friend's money, basically, like my friend is basically, you know, screwed, and now she's in an insane asylum, and
she's blaming the family for holding her back, probably.
Probably, but she legitimately thinks that, like, it's this actor because because AI deepfake. There's this actual other thing where. This scammer used AI technology and put like some other actor's face over like somebody in the hospital, and she was convinced he was in the hospital, and he was divorcing his wife or whatever, and she could help him out financially, and she gave him but later figured out that it was all a lie when on the TV this same actor just got a girlfriend, this other actress or whatever, and then she snapped her, but your generation is scarily buying into all this stuff.
It's not my generation. It's as a generation becomes elders, they become vulnerable. All generations, when they become old,
yes,
and especially as new, and now technology has really exploded, but each one is vulnerable.
Yes,
it's just really the.
I'm not saying not all old people are vulnerable. I'm just like,
no,
I'm just
of course
saying
not.
Your generation are the current day, you know, old people right now.
Yeah, they're the elderly.
Yeah,
and technology has really exploded, so they're really vulnerable.
Well, here we go. Online scammers tricked a 63-year-old Los Angeles woman into thinking she was in a romantic relationship with Spanish musician Enrique Iglesias. Guadalupe Cepeda has been a fan of Enrique Iglesias for over 2 decades, so when the Bailamos singer approached on social media one day, she couldn't believe it. He apparently found her on an online fan group, and she didn't find it at all suspicious that the man millions of women have been dreaming of for almost 30 years singled her out for a virtual relationship. Their quote-unquote affair began 2 years ago, and despite being married to another man, Cepeda believed that she would one day marry Iglesias. She planned to break up with her husband and run away with a Spanish superstar.
Yikes.
Only before they could be together, Enrique needed her to send him some money. So there you go.
Uh-huh.
So not only did she buy into it, but she was unfaithful. So
mentally.
Well, yeah. But yeah, like it's becoming an epidemic. Like with the elderly,
yeah,
you know, and so, but yeah, I got to start saving these links here. Moving on up, world's most expensive canine sells for over $5.8 million.
What?
An Indian dog breeder recently paid 500 million rupees, or $5.81 million, for a unique cross between a real wolf and a Caucasian shepherd, making it the most expensive canine in the world. Wow. Named Kadabam Okami, the pricey dog was reportedly bred in the U.S., purchased by S. Satish, a Bangalore-based dog enthusiast and the president of the Indian Dog Breeds Association. He is renowned for his collection of over 150 dog breeds, including some of the rarest in the world. Satish told Indian reporters that he felt the 500 million rupee price tag was worth it for Kadabam Okami because he is literally one of a kind. Plus, he is an impressive specimen. At just 8 months old, he is already 75 kilograms and stands 30 inches tall. That's a big dog.
Yeah.
But would you spend $5.81 million on a dog? No. Absolutely not.
Do I have 5.8 million of anything? No.
Probably have problems.
Yeah.
What else do we got here? Cambodian male beauty pageant goes viral for quality of participants. Popular Cambodian beauty pageant Miss and Mr. Majestic has been getting a lot of attention after photos of its ordinary-looking participants went viral on social media. The winner of Mr. Majestic 2025 will represent Cambodia in the Mr. Universe International Beauty Pageant, but the contest has created a lot of buzz online due to the questionable looks of some participants. Last month, organizers released the introductory photos of the 17 male participants selected to take part in the competition to become Mr. Majestic, and judging by the feedback on Cambodian social media, they were not what people were expecting. It's true that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but many people complained that most of the guys competing for the title of Mr. Majestic look ordinary, and some of them had substandard looks. Okay? So, these are male models.
Yeah.
Isn't the whole point of representing people to actually represent them? So people are ordinary. I mean, there's a whole argument that people people have a serious problem with their self-esteem when everywhere you look you see these Adonises and
gorgeous
goddesses
people
everywhere. That's why the makeup industry is a thing. That's why plastic surgery is a thing. Everybody wants to be the Barbie doll. Nobody's accepting of themselves, and that's a sickness.
Well, yeah, that's a real problem. But on things like this, you're trying to pick out the exception from the ordinary. To me, that's what you're trying to do.
Well, I mean, this is why I don't pay attention to any of this crap.
No, I don't like it either. Men or women. I don't like the what is it?
The beauty pageants.
Whatever the
yeah,
whatever the woman's thing is that's world known. It's been around for years. I don't remember the name of it.
Because all that does is just shove in my face something that I'm never going to be able to do. So it's just okay, then if I'm not going to be able to participate, why should I have interest?
I mean, even if I could or couldn't, I don't care. That's not my point. I just don't like putting something on a pedestal for looks or intelligent or intellectual, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I agree. Moving on up. Aether Clock OC020, the world's most accurate clock. Created by Japanese manufacturer Shimaduzu Corp. The Aether Clock OC020 is a strontium optical lattice clock advertised as the most accurate clock in the world and sold for over $3 million. The world's most accurate clock looks less like you'd imagine and more like a small refrigerator. Its rectangular case is around 3 feet tall and has a volume of 250 liters. Frankly, it doesn't look like much, but this contraption is so precise that it would take about 10 billion years for it to deviate by a single second.
Oh, wow. That's what I wanted to know. Wow.
According to Kyoto-based manufacturer Shimaduzu Corp., the Aether clock is reportedly 100 times more accurate than cesium atomic clocks, which set the standard for the current definition of a second. Although optical lattice clocks have been around for a while, the Aether clock is the world's first commercially available model. Okay, that's a weird-looking clock, but...
as close as that is, the screwy thing is, nothing on this planet, if this is the most accurate, and it's pretty darn close, but nothing on this planet can keep actual time.
Well, because first off, time is a human perception.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
Like-
what is, if nothing can keep accurate time? Is time real? I mean, if we can't keep it accurate,
Well,
is it even real?
My thought is the type of people who would buy this are the type of people who would microwave their Pop-Tarts. If you have to zap fry your Pop-Tart, you gotta loosen up your schedule a little bit. Insert Pop-Tart
Yeah, it gives you the
vertically. Oh,
instruction. Vertically. They had to give me a big word like vertically.
yeah, good old Brian Regan.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Moving on up, let's see here. So if anybody actually wants to read the full articles here, I'm going to post these in the underbar after the show, as I used to usually do. A lot of practices I got to get back used to doing. Solo garlic, the single clove garlic you've probably never heard of. Garlic is probably the world's most popular seasoning, but most of us hate peeling it about as much as we love to eat it. I really don't think that many people love that garlic, like it's usually more of like the hater spectrum.
No.
I mean the breath thing, and
Oh, garlic.
yeah.
I don't know if it's the most popular, but it's well used anyways.
Well, there's garlic bread. Everybody loves that, so
Garlic
I stand
sauces
corrected. Yeah.
And some things that aren't called garlic at all, but you use it for a flavor in there, especially in spaghettis.
Now there's a garlic festival out here in California somewhere.
I have heard of that before.
I have too, and among the things that they have. Now, I know exactly what your reaction is going to be. Ew! But me being me, I am interested in most things culinary, not mayonnaise peanut butter sandwiches.
Oh, so
That's
you don't know what
you.
you're talking about.
You are a Canadian. But they have garlic ice cream.
I don't know why I knew you were going to say that. I was going to say, I suppose it's ice cream. I didn't want to jump on you.
But, well,
It is garlic ice cream?
I'd like to try
Oh,
it.
that sounds... Whoa, what are you talking about?
I mean, it sounds more palatable than peanut butter mayonnaise sandwiches.
Not even close. You're taking something and putting it in sweet. I don't get that.
Well, why is there sugar in hot dog buns?
There is.
Yeah. Anyway, having to go through over a dozen clovers per garlic bulb is just not fun. But what if I told you there's such a thing as single clover garlic? If you live in China, Germany, or Northern Europe, you're probably wondering why you're reading about a vegetable you regularly see at your local supermarket on a blog about oddities. But the fact is that most of the world is oblivious to the existence of this holy grail of garlic. The author here, by Spooky, whoever Spooky is, probably an AI, recently found out about it after seeing a photo of what looked like an onion labeled as solo garlic on Reddit. And that's, we were speaking about Reddit earlier today on the History Show.
Yeah.
What they thought was a digitally altered photo turned out to be a real thing that has been around for decades, and that is apparently very popular in some parts of the world. So, single clover garlic.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually you crush it and you have, what,
Then
3
again,
garlics in there?
yeah. Well, then again, this entire thing could be all made up because who calls himself Spooky? Like you wrote this article, back it up with your actual name. So, pardon me, but like a lot of AI, article writers do things like this. That's why I made that comment.
Oh.
So there's a chance, because maybe somebody can look into this and let us know in the comments section. But there's a chance that this entire thing can be made up by AI. That these photos, this whole thing could be a lie, and then we can be thinking, oh, there's single clover garlic. Like, just being gaslit by an AI. Like, that's terrifying that we live in that world now. That computers can make up an entire thing.
No, I got that.
So,
Who cares about single garlic or not, I mean, to put a
cooks.
scam on it.
well,
Cooks, I guess, yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, but it's not about a scam. It's just about spreading misinformation and creating an atmosphere of perpetual confusion, so that way you don't know what's real and what's false. That's the point. So, anyway, moving on up, what else do we got? Man charged with manslaughter after son bumps into pensioner while learning to ride a bike. What? How does none of this make sense? An Italian man had to recently fight charges of manslaughter after his 5-year-old son hit an 87-year-old pensioner while learning to ride a bicycle in a Milan park. Okay, but why is he being charged with manslaughter? What was meant to be a rite of passage for a young boy turned into a nightmare for his entire family. and that of an 87-year-old woman who had the misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The woman was strolling through a lawn park with a 74-year-old friend when a boy crashed his bicycle into her, causing her to fall and hit her head on the pavement. Although the pensioner claimed to be all right, the boy's father, who was teaching him to ride a bike and had seen the crash, insisted that he call an ambulance. Unfortunately, the woman's condition abruptly changed for the worse, and despite the efforts of the paramedics, she tragically lost her life. So, okay, this is ridiculous. So what? Like, people can't go outside without being afraid of getting sued anymore? Like, and if you're in that dire state of a life, you shouldn't be going out. You know, if you die from a bonk on the head, then you should not be going out without handlers, without being in a bubble wrap suit or something. It's
not even the father who did it.
Yeah.
He's responsible for his son's actions, so it's a secondary thing on top of it.
Yeah. And he's just trying to teach us.
So
what? Like, are we not allowed to teach our children how to ride a bike in a park anymore? If we go into a parking lot and there's an old lady there, and you have, like, talk about fear-inducing. You know, this is absolute madness. This case should be thrown out immediately. This is ridiculous.
But she said she is fine, and he insisted on calling the paramedics.
Yeah, so
he did everything he humanly could.
Yeah,
that's just stupid.
This is ridiculous.
It's an accident.
Yeah. Nah, dude, this case should be thrown out. What else do we got here? Nun Man, the superhero we didn't even know that we had. The incredible story of a man who lived as a nun for 22 years.
Oh, man, you're kidding.
I thought he was bitten by a radioactive priest. Frank Travers was born a man in the Dominican Republic, but for 22 years of his life he lived as Sister Margarita in 2 different convents, posing as one of the nuns there without anyone suspecting anything. The unusual story of Nun Man, as Frank came to be known following his shocking reveal, began when he was only 4 years old. He and his family were involved in a serious car accident that claimed the lives of his parents. Oh, man. Wow, this is a Batman backstory. What the hell? His grandparents were too poor and ill-equipped to deal with a child, so he was placed in the care of nuns at a Dominican Republic. Tavares recalls that as a young boy, his private parts were so small that even he had trouble finding them, which is probably why he was raised as a girl in the convents. He wore girls' clothes, adopted the habits of the nuns there, and became fully engaged in the daily activities of his new home. It wasn't until age 7 that he realized he was a man, but he continued living as a girl to avoid being cast out. Wow, so this is a tragedy. This poor guy. When he was 7, Frank underwent a full health checkup, and the doctor confirmed that he was a boy and that he shouldn't worry, as his privates would catch up with his age once he reached his teenage years. As the years passed, he became more self-aware of his true gender, even though he did everything in his power to conceal it. Wow, that is sad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
To have to live your life in the shadows like that. And he was thrown into that. His parents got killed, and the rest of his family couldn't afford. So man, just talk about getting the crap in of the spoon.
Yeah.
Man, that's awful. This poor guy. Moving on up, more from Audio Central. Russia's youngest pensioner retired at the age of 23. Okay. At age 16, Pavel Stepanchenko joined the school of Russia's Ministry of Internal Affairs as a student. And by age 23, he had already retired, becoming the country's youngest pensioner. Retirement is traditionally associated with old age, and while today's youth dream of retiring young to focus on living their best lives, that usually means retiring by the age of 40 or so. Yeah, retiring, that's nice. This guy's 79, he's still working. Well, one Russian youth managed to do something most of us can only dream of, retire with a full pension in his early 20s. Pavel Stepanchenko's story is an unusual one. He enrolled in the educational institution of the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs at age 16. That's a mouthful. And after 5 years of diligent studies, he began working in the territorial division of the internal affairs system. The young man from Donetsk only worked there for 2 years because at the age of 23, he officially retired, taking full advantage of a special provision stating that for each month of service during a period of martial law, a person received 3 months of credited length of service. Also, because they're under martial law, because of the war probably, so he skipped out. He basically got 30 years for free or something. So that's...
Yeah, that still doesn't seem like enough to retire, but...
I mean, technically on paper he is.
I guess so.
I mean, that's ridiculous. So now this guy just gets to go and be a mooch. Lovely.
It's called a pension.
It's called gaming the system.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah. World's smallest international bridge is only 19 feet long. Huh. El Marco, a small rustic bridge connecting the Spanish village of El Marco to the Portuguese village of Varese Grande, is the world's smallest international bridge. Crossing the 19 feet or 6 meter long and 4.7 feet or 1.45 meter wide El Marco Wooden Bridge, you'd think you were just crossing a small stream in a rural area of Western Europe, but you couldn't be more wrong. By taking these few steps over El Marco, you're not only crossing from one country into another, but you're also changing time zones, as Spain operates on Central European time, while Portugal follows Greenwich Mean Time. You can also think of it as the easiest way of time traveling. So this is not a bridge too far, I guess.
Guess not.
Yeah. And there's so many bridge jokes, you know. Like I just can't span it. So but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Smallest international bridge. What else do we got here? Fox and raccoon meat sold as mutton and beef in China, journalistic investigation finds. Well, this is nothing surprising. China just always lies about everything. You remember when they discovered that waterfall was fake? It was like a pipe up there.
Pipe coming out.
And then later, like, there's this huge rock that's been like a whole thing for a while, and it's all was styrofoam. It was like this massive rock that, like, it was like a multi-hour long walk to get to, and it's this huge thing for that local area for travelers and all that stuff, and it's all fake. All of China is just a pandemic village. A journalistic investigation by the Chinese newspaper, the Paper, okay, what a name, revealed the widespread commercialization of fake meat, such as fox or raccoon meat being sold as beef, mutton, or rabbit to restaurants. The paper reports that in Chinese areas known for fur production, such as Tangshan, Hebei, Weifang, Linyai, or Shandong, animal farms resell fox and raccoon white strips, carcasses with the internal organs and subcutaneous fats removed, all over the country, passing them off as beef, mutton, or rabbit. Some vendors even go through the trouble of braising and grilling their fake meats before freezing them and selling them to restaurants to make them even harder to tell apart from meats meant for human consumption. Experts warn that the hormones and medicines used in the breeding of animals for fur, but also the pathogens they carry, can make these meats extremely dangerous. Well, I already don't eat, or try not to eat anything from China, so here's another reason. Freaking China, man. Will telling the truth kill them? You know, like, what the hell? From UPI, also known as UPI, FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and I heard about this. Ice chunk that crashed through Florida roof was not from plane. So there's this whole thing, and this goes into like the whole firmament and flat Earth theory and all that stuff, but they're saying that because of all of SpaceX's activity and breaching the firmaments, whatever, that's where this ice chunk is from, but, it's too big to be from a plane. The Federal Aviation Administration said a mysterious ice chunk that crashed through the roof of a Florida home in February did not come from an airplane. They were notified the large piece of ice fell onto a Palm Coast home on February 3rd and punched through the metal roof, landing in the structure's living quarters. It was a 6-foot by 3-foot ice chunk.
Whoa!
Yeah, that did not fall from a plane. So where the hell did it come from?
That's my next question.
You see, like, the first thing that I think of is that scene from The Truman Show where the light thing fell down from the thing, and then they said, oh, it was a piece of an engine from an aircraft. Remember that?
I do remember something
like
that.
But I'm just, that's why I said, the whole thing about the whole firmament. It's just like, I keep my mind open to every possibility, and whereas the idea of the Earth being flat is preposterous, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't take that out of the realm of possibility, and, like, I'm not trying to, persuade any sides here, but if it wasn't from a plane, then where was it? It didn't come from space because it would have burnt up on re-entry. So the only thing that makes sense, Occam's razor, is the firmament. And if the firmament exists, then the Earth is flat. But I don't believe that. So we're right back to where did it come from?
Well, let's see if they have any input on that.
Let's see here. No further details were provided by the FAA. The ice chunk origins remain a mystery.
Okay.
Quote, the FAA contacted airlines whose aircraft were operating in that area when the incident occurred. Inspections of those aircraft did not find evidence of water leaks that could have caused ice to form on the outside of the aircraft. So that's it. It's just, where did it come from? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
A 6 foot by 3 foot. That's
huge.
First off, 6 foot is like 2 inches or so higher, taller than me, and 3 foot is like so. Take all of me, and then make it just a chunk.
Rectangle, yeah.
Well, it won't be a perfect rectangle, but it's a chunk.
Not, but that's space.
But it's frozen water, so we're talking a good at least 300 pounds or more. Because I'm I'm like 220, and I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
So 6 foot by 3 foot of frozen water, maybe 400, 500 pounds.
I have no idea. I don't know what water weighs like that.
But, well, then again, when it's frozen, it actually expands, so it wouldn't be that heavy, probably not. But I don't know. Weird. What else do we got here? Oops, wrong button. And actually, while I'm doing that, do we have any comments anywhere? Oh, hey, 72. Sometimes it rains fish and frogs. It has rained.
Yeah.
No, it has.
Yeah.
It's rained fish and frogs. It's rained alligators or crocodiles, one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
It has actually rained cats and dogs once before, like legitimately, and we have had some fish and sharks. So raining from the sky, and then there's
living in Arizona once. It did rain with frogs, baby frog, little tiny frogs.
Yeah.
All over the place.
And then there's that mysterious jelly stuff that is making a comeback. Like weird jelly that causes sickness and evaporates in the air.
Rain?
No, it's just like this goo, that
rain's goo is what you're saying?
Well, it came from the rain. Like it rained and then there's goo, and it's.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's weird. Let's see here. Nope, nothing on Rumble yet. Painting bought for $2.99 at Goodwill auction for $2,875. Not bad.
Oh, I see. Then
Painting.
it was auctioned for $2,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. An Ohio woman bought a painting for $2.99 at a thrift store, and it ended up being auctioned for $2,875 when it was found out to be the work of Johann Berthelsen. Dayton resident Marissa Alcorn said that she and her fiance stopped at the Goodwill store after dinner and were able to leave when she spotted an interesting frame on a cart brought out from the back by a store employee. That's a weird way to say that.
They didn't say that right at all.
She thought it was an awful painting, but decided to buy it because it was only $2.99. She said she was loading the painting into the car when something caught her eye. It had a little plaque at the bottom of the frame. Out of curiosity, I typed in the name and found out it was Johann Berthelsen, as Alcorn said. Quote here. Berthelsen, a famed American impressionist, died in '72. His works often sell for thousands of dollars. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So add this into the underbar section here really quick.
Yeah, that's a nice return on your $2.
Yeah. Moving on up. Blobfish named New Zealand's Fish of the Year 2025. Okay.
Blobfish?
The blobfish.
Oh, blob.
The blobfish. New Zealand's Mountains to Sea Conservation Trust announced the Fish of the Year 2025 competition was won by the blobfish, a species once voted as the world's ugliest animal. Are you aware of the blobfish?
No.
So, I remember when this was first came out as a thing in early 2000s. Here's a picture that's very famous right here.
No,
but that's the blobfish. Now, you want to know why it looks like that?
It's like Jimmy Durante.
Oh, God. You want to know why it looks like that?
Why?
This is what it actually looks like.
Okay.
Because it's deep sea. It's the pressure. And when it gets up here, the less pressure, it just...
Oh, okay.
But when it's in its natural environment, that's what it actually looks like.
Yeah. It's a deep sea fish. Okay.
That's wild.
That is.
The
well,
thing,
yeah.
Just
like if we go down to
we'll just get squished.
We get crushed.
Yeah. So that is the animal of the year for New Zealand for this year. That's pretty cool. So, add this in the underbar section. I don't really need to read much of that article because that's pretty self-explanatory. Idaho man juggles at all 63 U.S. national parks.
We went all around the country juggling.
Yeah. Well, like who does this sound like? Why would anybody do this?
You.
Well, first
I'm
off,
gonna go juggle at all the parks.
well, no,
I don't know who does this sound like.
It's obviously for a world record,
Oh.
and it's Idaho man.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just eyeball I didn't look on this.
I can't remember
page.
the guy's name, but I know what you're talking about.
Serial Guinness World Record breaker David Rush. You can't touch the Rush. May have created a new title category by juggling in all 63 U.S. national parks. Rush, who holds the most concurrent Guinness World Records, visited all 63 U.S. national parks with his family over the course of 5 years, and at each park, he took some time to film himself juggling. Rush said he is now attempting to get a Guinness World Records title for this accomplishment. Of course. And he's breaking all these other records while doing all this stuff. That's probably what he's doing. He's going around and breaking records here, there, and
Well, it's
visiting
amazing.
parks.
He's thinking of stuff to do to create a new world's record.
What I
Guinness World
wonder is
Record.
where the hell does he get all of this money? Because do you know what goes into doing all this record? It's a scam, essentially. You have to pay them to come out over here, and all expenses. You have to pay their flight, hotel, travel, gas, food, all expenses, complete on your dime. Pay them, everything, and then they officiate and decide whether or not it's a record, and then you spend money for them to go back home. It's all a giant scam. So I'm just wondering, with all these records, like, where does he get all this money? I mean, maybe a bunch of sponsorships or something,
Could be.
But I mean, like it was like, what was it? I know 72 would know this. Angel hair. I don't know what he's talking about with that. Maybe the goo I was talking about earlier. But like it costs like up to $10,000 or more dollars just to have an attempt. Because you have to pay for them to come out and
something
all that
he had
stuff.
to record.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go visually see him at each park, I wouldn't think.
Well, no, but now he has to pay for them for their time to officiate the videos to record.
Yeah.
So, angel hair is a gel from space. That's what I thought. Yeah. So yeah, no, like I gotta talk to you about that whole thing off camera and all that stuff. But I mean, like I never thought I'd be like a supporter of a world record breaker. But David Rush, man, we've talked about this guy so often on these shows. So I'm a fan of David Rush. Moving on up, we have 2 more articles here.
Okay.
The UK court finds men who finds as in like they found him, not fine as in like found. They found the men who stole a $6 million gold toilet guilty. So they've now been found guilty, stealing this. It turns out that the porcelain throne can also be made of gold. I mean, obviously, yeah. Trump has one of these. I know that for certain. At least that was the vision behind Italian artist Maurizio Catalan's artwork titled America, of course, created in 2016. Oh, perfect. This has to be involving Trump. The installation featured a fully functional toilet cast in 18-karat gold. It was initially displayed at the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum in New York City and later at Blenheim Palace in the United Kingdom, where it was stolen in 2019. This week, 2 of the people involved in the theft were convicted in a UK court. And that's... Okay, so the original heist took place on September 14th in 2019, when a group of thieves used sledgehammers and crowbars to remove the toilet from the floor of Oxfordshire's historic Blenheim Palace. It reportedly took them under 5 minutes to escape with a luxurious latrine. Well, gold is heavy.
Yes, it is.
How do you run with... This has to be multiple hundreds of pounds. Even if that's paper thin, that's still like 100 pounds. Right? Like, you know more than I do about this stuff.
It's hard to say, but it would be very heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed it.
Yeah. And, like, maybe this is an old photo of it, but, like, they're using sledgehammers and crowbars. Gold is very malleable.
Yeah.
It would just be a pile afterwards.
Well, you don't care. You're just...
Yeah.
You're going to melt
Well,
it
you're
down
not
and
using
sell
it
the
to
gold.
use... You're not stealing it to use it.
You're selling it to melt it down and sell the gold. Now it's cast, so it wouldn't be a vermeil. It's a cast gold toilet.
Yeah.
So it would be very heavy and a lot of money.
Yeah, it looks like the piping is gold too.
Well, that could be a vermeil.
Maybe. Anyway, and last but not least, the doomsday clock has never been closer to metaphorical midnight. What does it mean? We're all gonna die! Humanity is closer than ever to catastrophe, according to the atomic scientists behind the doomsday clock. The ominous metaphor ticked 1 second closer to midnight this week. The clock is just now stands at 89 seconds away. Its first move in 2 years, and the closest the clock has come to midnight in its nearly 8-decade history. All this has done is turned into like a propaganda machine. This used to be like when the doomsday clock first was a thing. It was supposed to be a warning, like, hey, but now it's being used as like, oh, hey, you better do things our way or we're going to scare you.
So when this thing hits midnight,
that's the end of the
it?
world, yes. Okay. So I remember, when it was like 20 minutes to midnight was a big deal. Now we're at 89 seconds.
So is 89 seconds a year, 5 years, a couple months? What does 89 seconds represent?
Well, how close we are to doom.
I understand that, but do they have a ratio?
Well, no, it's not like, it's not like a prediction, but it's like the world, the geopolitical, socioeconomic situation on the global scale is in such dire straits that, like, we're this close, it's like this. Like how people, I'm this close, or I've had it up to here with you, or something like that. It's just another one of those. It's just, everything is in such turmoil that it just takes this much effort for everything to snap into a nuclear war. It's not a predicting that, next year we're going to go into nuclear war. It's just, it's a visual representation of how bad things are.
Okay.
Fair
enough.
I believe, from what I know.
Yeah.
So, but that shall conclude the show. Please check the underbar in the description below for any links you may be interested in, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. For your dose of news, odd, weird, unusual, notable events, weather, and sports, we stream every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know what that is anymore for other time zones, but yeah, for all of you and all of us, I am A.O. Xander.
Golden Loon.
And you are you. Thank you for watching, and until next time,